Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make is fresh pear cake. Now, if you are looking for a pear bread, which is very similar also to a cake, I do have a video on my channel, and it is a good one, so please check it out. But this particular one I really liked because the pear bread or cake that I have already put on my channel was made in a loaf tin. This is made in a 10-cup butt pan, or whatever type of pan that you want to use, that it's at least 10 cups, okay? But what I want to tell you is that you can use whatever type of pears that you have or that you like. I actually made, or this cake that we're going to be making together using this type of pear. You can use whatever type of pears that you have that are in season or that you enjoy. I like to actually have them when they're a little bit extra ripe. I don't use any of the bruised part of the pear. If they are, you know, really super ripe, I cut away that part. But I really like pears that are a little bit more ripened. I think they make for just a sweeter cake. But if you have regular fresh pears that are not that ripened yet, go ahead. I think you're going to really enjoy this recipe. What I did was I started a little ahead of time. And went ahead and I used my whisk attachment on my stand-up mixer. Now you could certainly use your hand mixer if you want, but I went ahead and used 4 egg whites, and I did beat them. Now you don't have to beat them, you know, real well, but I like to beat them so that, if I can pick up a little bit to show you, because I think it just makes for a lighter and a less dense cake. So I go ahead and I beat them quite well. But as long as you beat them, you know, you just don't want to put them out without beating them. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to need 4 cups of chopped pears, okay? And you know, it's hard to say, you know, how many pears are you going to need, because, you know, there are all different sizes and different types of pears. But I know when I did my 4 cups, I believe I used about close to 6 pears. But again, don't quote me. You might be using pears that are different sizes or different types. And I'll give you an example right now. Here's a pear, and you can tell how much smaller it is to the other one. So just know that you want, once you cut up your pears, at least 4 cups of peeled, chopped, and cored pears. And then go ahead and put 2 cups of granulated sugar together, and then put them in any type of mixing bowl that you have. These have been in a little bit over than an hour, and what happens is it really makes almost like a syrup sugar together, you know, with the moistness from the pears and then the granulated sugar. It makes actually like a syrup, and it just smells so good. So again, I do take your 2 cups of granulated sugar to your 4 cups of chopped pears, let them sit in a bowl, you know, for at least an hour. Next I'm going to put in I almost forgot, oil. You're going to need 2/3 cup of oil. You use whatever type of oil that you want or you prefer, and I'm going to slowly put it into my egg whites and beat it. Now that won't take you very long at all. Also, if you're using a paddle, go ahead. I use the whip to work on my egg whites, so I'm going to continue to use it now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this pear mixture and we're going to put it in next. Now, what you'll want to do though is get everything out. Get all that liquid, get all those nice chopped pears, because you want all that liquid. And all you want to do is combine it. You don't want to beat it too long, and you don't want to damage the shape or the integrity of your pears. But you do want to get all that liquid out, okay? So I'm just going to turn this on for just a couple more seconds. Okay, once you do that, now let's work on our dry ingredients. You're going to be needing 3 cups of all-purpose flour, which I have in this bowl. You're going to put a teaspoon of salt in there. I'm just going to use my little whisk here just to bring it all together. You're also going to be putting in 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. Now I hope that I'm going slow enough on these ingredients because I no longer put the recipe below the video. I'll explain later. So if you are taking notes, I'll back up just a little bit. 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt. I put in 1½ teaspoon of baking soda. I'm now going to put in 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. That was a teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm going to put a teaspoon of cinnamon in. Oh, those spices smell so good. And when this cake bakes in the oven, oh, the whole kitchen will smell so good. The next thing that you're going to put in is only a ½ teaspoon of ground cloves. Now, if you don't like cloves, leave it out. What I would suggest is to actually just put an extra ½ teaspoon of cinnamon in it. But the cloves do make the difference in this cake. It's not overpowering, but it just adds to the flavor. It really does. And then again, with a spoon, a fork, a whisk, I'm just bringing this all together. And now I'm just going to slowly add the dry to the wet. I'm really not considering beating it. I just kind of want to mix it. So we're going to put a little at a time. Just raised my speed a little bit just to move it along. And what you want to do is spend, a minute or two just mixing it. Again, you really don't have to heavily beat it. You just want to make sure that everything is combined. And I always like to clean the sides of my bowl and look at the bottom to make sure there's everything that's combined. And then your batter will look like this. Okay, I hope you can see that. All right, the next thing we talked about was having at least a 10-cup pan. Go ahead and spray it with your oil spray, and then as equally divided here, put all the batter in. Just move it around so it's nice and even. Now again, you want to get this all out. All the time that you spend on this recipe and the work involved, as well as the money it costs you for ingredients, I like to get every drop out of it. Now, this recipe, the waiting time for the hour of the pears to sit in the sugar, I think that's probably the hardest part. because I like very quick and I like easy recipes. But it was so well worth it. I know a lot of people write to me and say, well, what if you're using a recipe where you're using egg whites but not the yolks? What do you do with them? Throw them out? No, I don't. I actually put them in very small little plastic containers. I mark the date and how many egg yolks are in there and freeze them. And then I take them out if I make breads or whatever, or I want to glaze something, rolls or bread, and I can use those egg whites instead of throwing them in the garbage. But that's up to you. Now, you're going to bake this at a lower temperature. You're going to bake it at 325. You're also going to be baking it. It's going to take you anywhere from an hour and 10 minutes. Mine today actually came up a little less than that. Came up in about an hour and 5 minutes. So, you know, our oven's set up so differently. You don't want to overbake this cake. You don't want to dry it out, but you certainly don't want it raw either. I start checking mine within around that 50 minutes, 55 minutes with a toothpick or a cake tester and that type of thing. Once it comes out of the oven though, let the pan sit on a cooling rack at least 10 minutes before you even try to move the cake. Now, I'm going to just wash my hands very quickly and then show you what it looks like once it's baked up. I'm working with egg whites and raw batter. You want clean hands. And this is how it will turn out. It'll bake up a nice tall cake for you. The outside will have a beautiful medium golden brown to it. Now you can go ahead and you can sprinkle this with powdered sugar if you like. You can make a sugar glaze for it with powdered sugar and milk or powdered sugar and water to the consistency that you like, depending on how thick or thin that you like your glaze, or you can just leave it plain just like I have it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut into the cake so that you can see the inside of it. Now, I particularly like to even eat this cake when it's slightly warm, especially with a cup of coffee, like for breakfast or something like that. What you'll see is those beautiful pears that have been baked inside of it. It will have a medium type texture. It will not be very, I wouldn't say very heavy or dense. It's about medium. As far as its freshness and what have you, it will spring back beautifully for you on the crumb. So when you bite into it, you will taste all those wonderful spices with the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the cloves, and then have that, oh, that great taste of those fresh pears. This is a great tasting cake. I hope you give it a try. If you do try it and you like the recipe, well, leave a comment because I'd like to hear from you. And I will answer you, by the way, if you have a question in a timely fashion. Now, very quickly, the reason I'm sorry I don't put the ingredients or recipe below is because, and I'm not alone on this, that's for sure, but due to so many people pinning my work, claiming it theirs, putting it places, it's so frustrating that when you write to me and I see that you've had a question, I can't answer it because someone has taken my videos. I only solely put my videos on YouTube. So if you would watch me solely on YouTube and you write to me, I'm going to see your question, I'm going to see your comment, and I'm going to be able to answer it. So I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. If you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe to the channel, boy, I'd really appreciate it. Or even give the video a like. I can't thank you enough. So, try this fresh pear cake. I think it's a good one. I think you're going to like it. So, thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.